Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the very first iteration of By the Numbers. In this series, this may be a series, this just may be a regular thing. I haven't figured it out yet. This is the very first one. But in this, I'm going to be discussing multifamily properties or investment properties by the numbers strictly. Objectively, analyzing, evaluating, see if they're a good deal, see if they're a bad deal. I'm going to do it live right here in front of you. If you think this is a good idea, you'd like to see more, or there's a particular property that you want me to evaluate by the numbers, just comment below and we'll get to it. But we'll see how this goes. We'll see how people respond to it. Something that I'm very passionate about is investment, real estate. So figured I'd just kind of hop in and do one of these. So without further ado, let's get right into it. And also I'll add, hopefully my production value increases as this goes on, because as you can clearly tell, I'm not in a studio here, and I'm working off of the iPhone, which, truth be told, it's not that bad here. Got my handy dandy mic, so hopefully the audio is a little bit better. I have some lights incoming. I ordered online, and a stand to kind of prop up the video just to make it a little bit easier, or better, give me a better angle to you guys. So hopefully the production value does increase with time, but hey, you got to start somewhere, right? So let's hop into the very first property of today, and let me switch screens here. So here I have the MLS up on screen. I always get these BS things every day. So for those of you that aren't familiar with the MLS and what it is, this is a tool that us realtors utilize to evaluate properties, send to our clients, and just kind of just any information about any properties goes here. Now, if you are someone that's selling your house, for example, just to kind of demonstrate how this works, let me see if I can. Anyways, basically, if you sell a property where the technology comes in handy, when we list a property, we list it on the MLS. The MLS is the tool that distributes it across the entire internet. So when you see your house for sale on Zillow, or any house for sale on Zillow, Realtor.com, Trulia, those are like the big three. Your house is that house that you're looking at is populating from the information that the MLS is distributing to it. That's how that works. This tool distributes the home across every single IDS feed. I don't know what IDS stands for, but it integrates with the MLS, and the MLS feeds that information. So anything that you see is something that's coming from the MLS. And this is where the first place where the property goes. Hopefully I did that explanation justice. But let's jump right in. The first property I want to evaluate today is 519 Josephine Street. I have others I want to kind of dig into, but I'm going to keep this very first one short. So this property is in East Mckeesport, 519 Josephine Street. Just to kind of give you an idea of where that is on a map, this is my handy dandy tool, Google Earth. If you're someone that doesn't know Pittsburgh very well, use this tool. It is extremely helpful. I can do a variety of things here. If I want to go peek down and look at what a street looks like for example, Keller Park down here, super cool area. Definitely check it out if you've never been down there. If I just want to see what the street looks like, here we are. Doesn't look that great, but I'll tell you first off, from firsthand experience, that it's very colorful down here, hence the name. But anyways, that's the point of the tool. Is if you are not familiar with an area, you can go in, take a look at the street view, bounce out to the over top view, kind of see where things are in relationship to other places. So this is the confluence here. This is where the three rivers combine. The property we're talking about right now is 519 Josephine Street over in McKeesport, PA. So just to kind of give you guys an idea, there is the main road here. This leads down into Turtle Creek. Pitcairn is over here. Monroeville is up here. And then 376, this is the main highway that leads into Pittsburgh, is right here. So you can kind of see what the relationship is, or where the relationship of this property relative to the other major roadways. And then you have, I think this is 22. I forget what the formal name of this road is. But this is another main road that takes you out to the eastern part of Pittsburgh. But that's where it is. So 519 Josephine Street. Let's pull it up. So as you can tell, this property is 60,000. It is 1,008 square feet. Shocker. Who's the listing agent? Me. All right. That shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone. Now, as a consumer, when you're looking at this property on Zillow, you can't see any of this information down here. This is really just information for us as agents. But anyways, we know, and I know because it's the listing that I put up, that the gross rent is $1,150. Now, I'm going to pop into this really cool spreadsheet. I wish I could say I was smart enough that I created this entire spreadsheet myself. I, in fact, did not. But I can tell you that I have used this thing a bunch of times when I'm evaluating properties for clients. Super, super, super useful. And just to kind of give you an idea of how it works, it's all pretty self-explanatory. Kind of has all the information laid out here. So the property value here, 60,000. We're just going to put in a value we think the property's worth. What are we going to purchase the property for? So let's just say in this fine example, we're purchasing the property for 60,000. What are we going to put down? I'll get into renovation costs in a later episode, but how much are we going to put down? That's what's going to go here. So more than likely, and I don't know what kind of lenders that some of you more experienced people work with, but generally speaking, you're probably going to be putting down 20 to 25% on any given investment property. So in this case, we're going to assume, all right, 6.5% mortgage rate. Let's see interest rates today for 30-year fixed. This probably isn't the best way. All right, 6.3. We're going to roll with that. We'll keep it at 6.5. So we're going to assume 25% down over a 30-year fixed term, and that's going to be an annual payment of, that doesn't seem right. Maybe it is. Sorry, so we got the mortgage information put in. I'll get into this other stuff later, but loan amount, for those of you that aren't familiar with how this works, in order to calculate loan amount, you're going to put down 25%. So the loan amount is 75% of the purchase price. So 75% of $60,000 works out to be $45,000. And you're putting down $15,000 if you're putting down 25%. So the taxes on this property are $1,796. All right, so we have that information put in here. Insurance. This is a single family property. There's only one unit. There is no 2, 3, 4 units. It's not a duplex, not a triplex. So more often than not, you're probably going to spend around $2,000 a year. Again, could differ depending on how many properties you own, what kind of deal you can get with your insurance broker or insurance agent, but we're just going to assume $2,000 for this example. And the gross annual income. So I know that the monthly income is $1,150. Take that times 12. That brings us to $13,800. So I'm going to input that information. So total cash to purchase this property, assuming the very basic stuff. We're buying it for $60,000. We're putting $15,000 down, giving 25%. Our closing costs, and just to kind of give you an idea of where we're coming up with this number, are about 3%. So 3% of the overall purchase price comes out to $1,350. So total cash in $16,350. Now, I can make other assumptions on this right-hand side. If you were a landlord that was paying for utilities, you can input that information over here. I could input, maybe some advertising, lawn and snow maintenance, but we're just going to keep this all empty. We're going to assume in this case, in which this is the case, all of the utilities are being paid by the tenant. So the only thing as a property owner for this property that you're paying for is your insurance and your taxes and any maintenance stuff. But down here, if you can see the cursor here, so we're going to assume we're going to get a rental income increase of 3% annually. A property tax, our taxes are going to go up 3% annually. Our utilities are going to go up 4% annually. Our expenses are going to go up 4% annually. I'll get into building to land value ratio later. We're going to assume that the property is going to appreciate at 4% annually. And then we're going to assume traditionally that to close on a property, 3% on average is what our closing costs are going to be. And then 8% if we sell on average. So this is where it gets interesting. If we bump over into the financial analysis tab, and again, I use this sheet when I'm evaluating any investment property that I'm sending to a client, to see whether or not it's a good deal. And what I'm using to judge that is the cap rate and the return on investment. So up here it says gross scheduled income. This is the amount that we expect to get. So in other words, you can say it's, gross annual income. So year one, we're going to assume if we have a tenant in there all 12 months, $1,150 a month comes out to be $13,800. Now in the previous tab, we had assumed a 4%. Let me see here. 5%, vacancy allowance. So, assuming, we don't have a lot of downtime, maybe before another tenant gets in there, our total operating income minus the vacancy is $13,110. Now, assuming that, again, our annual income increases year over year, up to year 5, that annual income is going to increase to $15,532. Up to year 30, if said person holds on to this for that long, $32,521. And you can see that operating income, increases incrementally as well. So property taxes, we can see that all that information broken down from year 1 through year 30. Maintenance reserves, I had just assumed 8%. Some people that manage, have multiple doors they manage, they may have a more reserved maintenance reserve percentage that they like to stash away. Maybe they're more aggressive in planning for things, so maybe they'll stash away maybe 15%, 20%. It just depends on the person. So given those assumptions, our total operating expenses are $4,900 for year 1. So operating income, operating expenses, that gives us a net operating income after everything of $8,210 a year. Now, assuming we have a mortgage, in this case, we are assuming we do. Our mortgage expenses are coming out to be $3,400 a year. So our annual cash flow after all expenses, every expense paid, is $4,797. So that gives us a rough cash flow of about exact cash flow about $400 a month. That I got to be honest with you, out of a lot of investors I've worked with, some of these margins that they're working with, maybe they're only making $100, $200 a door. They're in it for the long haul. To be in only $16,000 cash up front, get $400 a month, and then by year 5 that jumped up to $500 a month, that's not too bad. And if you can repeat this process, and this is why real estate's such a beautiful thing to invest in, you can repeat this process over and over and over and just build a massive portfolio and just have, hopefully the goal is someday a nice way to retire. Because think about real estate as a non-traditional 401k. If you're buying an asset, hoping it appreciates, which history shows they do, and one day you're having someone pay off the loan on the house, and you're getting money on top of that. And then one day you're going to sell that asset, presumably, and you're going to have all of that money and then some back. So it's a highly repeatable process. I have novice investors just getting into this, up to institutional investors that have millions of dollars, and the things that you can accomplish in real estate are just, it's crazy to me to this day. But all right, so I want to stay on track here. We looked at the monthly cash flow. So year 1, if we look at the equity, so how much equity do we have? And that's just physical money that you own, and the bank owns the other portion of it. So year 1, at the end of year 1, we have almost $18,000. Year 2, $20,000. Year 5, $30,000. This asset's probably paid off in full by year 11, 12, presumably. All right, but if we dive down here, cap rate. This is what we basically use to evaluate return, or if it's a decent return. So year 1, we have 13%. Dives down a little bit throughout the years, but our cash on cash return is pretty darn good. So year 1, 29%. If we jump down to return on investment, this is what a lot of people use to judge, is it worth me putting my money here? Am I going to get a good return? If you look at that in the form of percentage, year 1, 8%, not great. Maybe you can get a better investment in the stock market. But year 2, that shit's doubling. It's not doubling, it's quadrupling. Getting a phone call here. So yeah, return on investment, as you can see, it gets pretty good year over year. And yeah, so I would say overall, it may not look great. We're obviously not factoring in, any renovations that need to be done. There will need to be renovations that will have to be done to the property, no doubt. But I can say confidently with real estate in this, price point, in order for the amount of money you have to put in and the amount of money you're going to get back down the road, it's a lot, and well worth it. So I would, again, I'm a little biased in this situation. This would be a great investment. So, yeah, any questions, give me a shout.